We're now going to install our shift and brake cables through the shifter. There's two types of cables. Brake cables are a little bit thicker and have a bigger end than a shift cable. The shift cable, as you can see, is a little bit smaller and has a different style end. We'll start by installing the brake cable. In this group set, the brake cable goes in right here. You have to apply the brake, and there's actually a small hole here that the brake cable is inserted into. You feed the brake cable in here, and it comes out right here on the other side of your shifter. You can feed this all the way through. There we go. And that's how you install that part of the cable. You can repeat this on the other side of your bike. To install your shift cable, the first thing you want to do is release all of the gears on your shifter. You want to make sure that this would be in the smallest gear when shifting. Once that's done, there's a small hole right here. Now this is a SRAM shifter, and it may be a little different with Shimano, but the principle should be about the same. Next, you take your cable and you insert it into the small hole. And this can be a little touchy. It's tough to get in, but once you get it started, it goes pretty easy. There we go. Alright, so as you can see, that feeds out the top of the shifter. So we'll pull the cable all the way through. And now we're ready for cable housing. You can repeat this step on the left-hand side of your bike. Now that the cables are ran through our shifter, we're going to install our cable housing. There's two types of cable housing. You have a 5mm and a 4mm. The 5mm is for brake cable, and the 4mm is for shift cable. On the ends of each of these, we have ferrules. After you've cut your cable housing, you want to place one of these ferrules on the end. It helps clean it up, and there's a small hole in here for the cable to feed through. Let's start by feeding the brake cable through this piece of housing. So the brake cable starts right here. Just feed it through. And then it pops out the other side. Once it comes out, we'll bring this part of the ferrule into the shifter. There should be a small groove for the ferrule to fit inside. It just tucks right inside. There we go. And then this end of the brake cable housing will go to the first brake cable stop. Now it's on the other side of the frame, but it looks kind of like this. And this ferrule just sits in place. So here we go. And now that first part of the cable housing is installed. You don't want this to be too long. You want it to be just long enough so that it doesn't restrict the motion of your handlebars. Any longer than that is probably too long. Now we're going to install the cable housing for shift cable at the front of the bike. I've already fed the cable through the beginning of the housing, so we'll just continue feeding it through. As you go all the way through, again, the ferrule will rest right inside the shifter. There's a little groove here for it, as you can see. It slides right into place. You want to then take this end of the cable and housing and feed it through your rear derailleur stop, which is right here on the frame. So you feed the cable through first. And then bring the ferrule into the cable stop. You've now installed the front cable housing for your shifter and brake. You can repeat this process for the left-hand shifter.